The moment I stepped into the ballroom, conversations thinned, then snapped shut entirely. Crystal glass paused mid-air, forks hovered above plates, and every head turned just a little too quickly. I felt their surprise settle on my skin like static. Marin stood beneath the chandelier, already holding the microphone. Even from across the room, I recognized the smile she used whenever she was certain the night belonged to her. "Ilara," she called, voice sweet enough to sting. "You made it after all." I walked farther in, keeping my expression neutral. Wouldn't miss grandmother's birthday. Marin's eyes glinted. "Good. It is important the whole family hears the truth tonight." A few relatives shifted. My father, Douglas, folded his arms with the heavy, practiced authority of a man who believed he had raised perfection. My mother, Serena, gave me a tight, polished smile, the kind meant for photographers, not daughters. I did not know there was a program. I said, "Steady. There is now." Marin lifted the microphone as if conducting an orchestra. Some stories deserve to be told publicly. Someone near the center table whispered my name. Someone else murmured something about my company. The weight of their anticipation pressed in, a familiar feeling from years ago. While people watched her, I watched the back of the room. Two individuals in dark suits spoke with hotel security, badges catching the light when they turned. They did not seem interested in me at all. Marin followed my gaze and laughed softly. "Nervous." "Not tonight," I said. She didn't like that answer. Her smile twitched. "Then stay close. You do not want to miss what comes next." The lights dimmed slightly as staff prepared the next segment of the evening. Guests leaned forward, sensing drama, hungry for it. If you are still reading, stay with me. Nights like this unravel fast, and everything that matters begins right here. In the split second, a family decides who they think you are and who you refuse to be. For a moment, the ballroom noise faded and my mind slipped backward into the years when being unnoticed felt like a fact of nature. I used to sit at the Langley dinner table the same way I stood here now present, but somehow optional. Marin filled every space effortlessly. She always had the right laugh, the right dress, the right story about the right donor. My parents adored symmetry, and Marin fit their frame perfectly. I, however, wrote code at the table while waiting for dessert. I remember the night everything between us finally cracked. A formal dinner, polished silver, Grandmother Margot at the far end watching us with quiet concern. My father set down his wine and looked at me with practiced authority. "Ilara, what is your real plan?" he asked. "You are nearly 24. Dreams are lovely, but legacies require structure." My mother followed gently. "We worry you feel lost, sweetheart." Marin leaned back, confident in her place at the center. "My nonprofit always needs help. Part-time, flexible, something you could handle." The room waited for me to be grateful, to accept the small corner they believed belonged to me. I pushed my chair back. The sound was soft, but everyone froze. "I am not lost," I said. "I am building something, just not for you." Marin laughed lightly. "You are overreacting." "No," I said. "I am leaving. Watch who I become." And I did. 2 weeks before the gala, I was in my office at the Seattle headquarters of my startup when my phone buzzed. The notification preview showed only 8 words, but they landed like a weight on my chest. Marin hired investigators. Big ones. Be careful. Lydia. I read it twice. Lydia Carver, my cousin. Never exaggerated. If she said big, she meant the kind of investigators people hired when they wanted a reputation burned cleanly to the ground. A soft knock pulled me back. Theo Pratt stepped inside, carrying a thick folder. He shut the door behind him and studied my expression. "You saw Lydia's message," he said. I nodded. "What do you have?" He placed the folder on my desk. Everything they dug up on you. They were thorough. I opened it. Dozens of pages, neatly organized. Every part of my life mapped: contracts, tax records, early investor emails, even a background check from when I applied for an internship at 21. All clean, Theo said. They found nothing that hurts you. I kept flipping, page after page. Then why does your face look like that? He hesitated before reaching over to flip to a section near the back. Because they found this. Cross-references, transaction notes, footnotes that didn't point to me at all. These are tied to Marin's nonprofit. I asked quietly. Theo exhaled. Yes, and the amounts are not small. I swallowed, scanning the numbers. $82,400 from the Alzheimer program. $137,000 labeled as community partnerships. Grants adding up to over $210,000 with no recipients. Theo nodded. They dug into you, Alara, but they tripped over her. I sat back, pulse steadying. Marin will not see this coming. No, Theo said, but you need to decide how you want to handle it. I closed the folder gently. I already have. Theo stayed standing, arms crossed tightly, as if bracing for my reaction. Ilara, this is more than carelessness, he said. The investigators flagged it all. They were required to report the findings to the Washington State Financial Crimes Division. I looked down at the numbers again. $82,400 from Grandmother Margot's Alzheimer support program. $137,000 in community partnerships that did not exist. More than $210,000 in grants with no documented recipients. All of it bearing Marin's signature. She really thought this would stay buried. I murmured. She thought no one would ever look at her. Theo said quietly. She assumed the investigation would go only one way. I closed the folder. My throat tightened. Not with triumph, but with something heavier. She used Grandmother's medical fund. I said, that is not ambition. That is cruelty. Theo softened. So, what do you want to do? Nothing dramatic, I said. Nothing loud. I pulled out a notepad and began writing dates, board minutes, discrepancies, donor complaints Marin had ignored. I want the truth organized. That is enough. Theo watched me for a long moment. Marin's campaign depends on that nonprofit. Douglas and Serena are counting on it too. I know, I said. He leaned closer. You are still going to the gala. Yes. He nodded slowly. Then the night will not end the way they think. I kept writing. My hands were steady. The night of the gala arrived faster than I expected. I stood in my apartment, smoothing the front of a simple charcoal dress. No sequins, no Langley shimmer, just something that felt like me. My phone buzzed. Theo, you ready? He asked. As ready as I need to be. He hesitated. If they try to corner you, I am not going there to defend myself. I said, I am going to show up. That is all. A quiet breath from his end. Then, show up like you mean it. I ended the call, grabbed my coat, and stepped into the night. When I walked back into the Langley Grand Hotel ballroom, the air shifted again. Recognition, tension, a spark of something almost disappointed that I had not stayed away. I passed relatives offering clipped greetings, tight smiles, half-hearted nods. At the far end of the table, my name card lay face down again. I turned it over without comment. Marin spotted me, lifted her chin, and raised the microphone. How lovely, she said loudly. Ilara has joined us just in time. My father looked at me the way he always did, measuring, waiting for failure. My mother reached for her glass instead of acknowledging me. Marin's voice dripped confidence. Tonight, family deserves honesty, and I plan to give them exactly that. I met her stare, steady and unflinching. Then I will listen, I said. She smiled too widely. Oh, you will. Marin lifted the microphone with practiced grace. Her smile sharpened to a blade. Before we celebrate, Grandmother Margot, she began, there is something important to address. Something about integrity, and about those who claim success without earning it. Several guests turned toward me. My father's jaw tightened, my mother's fingers curled around her glass as if bracing for impact. Marin continued, some people build illusions, some hide behind convenient stories, and some— The ballroom doors opened with a soft but unmistakable thud. 3 officials stepped inside. Dark suits crisp, badges visible. The entire room shifted. Conversations died mid-breath. Even the orchestra faltered. The lead official spoke clearly. We are looking for Ms. Marin Langley. Marin blinked, then forced a laugh. That would be me. But I am in the middle of you are being formally summoned for questioning, he said, regarding the misappropriation of charitable funds connected to the Langley Community Initiative. Silence spread through the room like a cold front. My mother rose halfway from her seat. There must be some misunderstanding. The official continued, unbothered. The investigation includes diverted Alzheimer's support funds totaling $82,400, non-existent community partnerships labeled at $137,000, and grant anomalies exceeding $210,000. Gasps rippled across the tables. Marin's voice cracked. No, this is wrong. Someone manipulated She pointed at me, desperate. The official shook his head. Ms. Langley. The audit we are referencing came from the investigative firm you hired. Marin went still. Guests stared. My father's face drained of color. My mother covered her mouth. And for the first time all evening, Marin had nothing left to say. For a heartbeat. No one moved. Marin stood frozen beneath the chandelier, the microphone trembling in her hand. Her confidence had drained so quickly it left her hollow. My father was the first to speak. Marin, he said sharply, tell them this is a mistake. She tried. Her lips parted, but no sound came. The lead official stepped forward. Ms. Langley, we will continue this conversation in a formal setting. You are required to accompany us. My mother's voice cracked. She is our daughter. You cannot simply— We can, he replied calmly. And we will. Marin jerked as though waking from a nightmare. I did not steal anything, she snapped. I built that nonprofit from nothing. I protected this family. I did everything you asked. Her eyes flicked desperately between my parents. Say something. Please. Douglas Langley's expression collapsed into something raw, almost frightened. Marin, what have you done? This is not my fault, Marin cried. They are twisting something. Elara put them up to this. I did not, I said quietly. Your investigators followed the evidence. That is all. Marin stared at me as if she no longer recognized my face. A chair scraped. Grandmother Margot rose, steady and elegant, her cane tapping lightly against the marble as she stepped forward. Her voice cut through the chaos with the kind of authority earned, not inherited. Marin, she said, if you build your life on lies, you cannot be surprised when the truth chooses to arrive in public. The words struck the room like a final bell. Marin's shoulders caved. The officials guided her toward the doors, their movements firm but not cruel. Each step echoed across the ballroom, slow, uneven, unraveling everything she had tried to hold together. The doors closed behind her. The silence that followed did not erase me. It made space for me. Nearly a year and a half passed before the dust finally settled. Marin stepped down from her campaign. The non-profit board dissolved under pressure. The building itself, a sunlit, 3-story structure on Fairmont Avenue, was scheduled for public liquidation. Theo called the morning the notice went out. They listed the building. He said, Auction starts next week. I answered softly, I want it. There was no surprise in his voice. Then you should take it. The following Thursday. I stood at the back of a crowded municipal hall as the auctioneer read the final numbers. Sold for $12,500. The gavel hit the block. It was done. Theo found me afterward. "You sure this is not about proving something to them?" "It is not," I said. "This place deserves a future that is honest." He nodded, accepting the answer without pushing. 14 months later, the building reopened not as Marin's monument, but as the Langley Digital Safety Center. Children filled the rooms she once dressed for staged photos. Instead of donor plaques, the walls held coding exercises and cyber safety posters. Grandmother Margot visited on the first day of classes. She touched my arm gently. "You gave this place a soul, Ilara." I smiled. It only needed someone willing to start over. Her hand tightened. "So did you." I exhaled, steady and unburdened. A few weeks after the center opened, I received an email from Grandmother Margot. There were only 3 words. "Sunday dinner. No pressure." I stared at it for a long moment before typing back. "I will come." When I walked into the dining room that night, the atmosphere felt different, thinner, quieter, stripped of performance. My father rose halfway, unsure whether he should greet me or brace himself. "Ilara," he said, voice low. "Father," I replied, matching his calm. My mother's eyes softened in a way I had not seen since childhood. "You look well," she said. "I am," I answered. "Thank you." We took our seats. No one mentioned Marine, or the investigation, or the echoes of that night in the ballroom. Grandmother Margot kept the conversation gentle, guiding it like a steady hand on a fragile thread. At one point, my father cleared his throat. "Your work at the center, it is good work, real work." It was not an apology, but it was the closest thing he had ever offered. I nodded once. "Thank you for saying that." Dinner ended quietly. As I stepped outside into the cool night air, my grandmother touched my elbow. "You made room for yourself," she said, "not by fighting them, by choosing you." I breathed deeply, letting the truth of it settle. If you have ever rebuilt your life from the quiet up, keep going. You deserve the space you create.